Hello, my dear ones. Hello. Join in. So, what's up? This is Khadartseva speaking. Today, we're talking about a super important topic, in my opinion, for everyone's life. I would call it the most important, the fundamental one. The primary topic. Today, we'll be talking about our physical body. I'll be sharing with you all of my discoveries. How is it happening now? What's going on with our bodies in today's world? And how can we maintain our bodies to handle and withstand all the changes that are happening at an incredible speed? For those who might be seeing me for the first time, my name is Khadartseva. I'm 43 years old. I'll be 44 soon in October. I've been involved with the topic of the body, you could say, since the day I was born. And I've been through so much, from bulimia to fasting for 12 days at a time. Through my own experience, I've studied a huge number of techniques and technologies related to the body. I have groups who used to fast with me once a week. We do a huge number of energetic and physical practices. So today I'll just go with the flow and pack everything in for you. I'll share everything that fits into today's webinar about the body. If you have any questions, write them in the chat. I have the chat open right here next to me. I'll be answering your questions. So, the body in which love lives. That's what we call this webinar. And here I want to say that the only manifestation you have on this planet is your physical body. We come into this world with three components: the soul, the body, and the personality. Well, the personality or the brain, you could call it the psyche, and so on. So, for example, if the body ceases to exist, everything else ends as well, right? So it's important to understand here that even if the psyche is disrupted or shuts down, the body continues to live, and death only comes when the physical body dies. That's why our manifestation in the physical world is one way or another connected to the body. And the state of your three-dimensional physical body will directly affect every aspect of your life. So if we take any aspect, whether it's money, relationships, self-fulfillment, mission, or relationships with children, one way or another, we always come back to our physical body. And our physical body is the part of our life that brings any actions into this world, actions that are directed at how we live our life. In other words, the body is directly connected to the concept of life. And here it's very important to understand that the body, this is a well-worn phrase, but I want to say it again here, is our home. It is the home for the soul. Essentially, if we rise to the ancestral karmic layers, that is, if we look at the systemic constellation approach, our soul's task is to experience life over and over again and to reach a new level each time. And this physical body of ours, it is the home for the soul, the very home through which the soul manifests itself here. And this important understanding should settle in during this webinar. What does this mean? That is, there is a divine structure, God, that is your soul, your higher self, which has come into this world to do something important. And this important thing is always connected to that very mission. That is, the soul comes to this planet to perform certain specific actions that will, in a particular way, influence future karmic incarnations, your ancestral lineage, what will happen in the world, other people in the world, and so on and so forth. But we always do everything through the physical body. Absolutely everything. It's like, when you need to get from point A to point B, you get into a car and drive there. If you don't have a car, essentially you can't get there. If you look at it from this perspective, you realize that if you don't have a physical body, then accordingly you can't get from point A to point B. And on a larger scale, you have incarnated on this earth. Point A is birth, point B is death. And this concept of the life path you go through can only be realized if you have a physical body. And the way this route will unfold depends on the condition of your physical body. If we compare this here, let's continue to compare it to a car. If you get into a new car and drive it toward point B, but forget to add oil, change the tires, update the system, and so on, you won't be able to get very far. And it's not even certain that you'll be able to reach point B at all. And so we have a fundamental and important responsibility to take care of this very car. So essentially, on the one hand, the body is in service to our soul. But on the other hand, your consciousness is in service to our body. And then when the soul realizes that it can only reach point B using your body, the soul is also in service to our body. And from the perspective of constellations, we have such a concept. For those who have been with me for a long time, we've already talked about this. We have four basic concepts by which we live. The first is the self, the second is the partner, the third is children, and the fourth is the mission. This concept of the self is where we serve on each of the 4 levels. So within the concept of the self, there is a notion called serving oneself. And the most important and fundamental way of serving oneself is that your entire structure should be aimed at serving your body, your physical body. Because if there is no basic service to your body, then this body will not provide the opportunities that you could realize in your life. Let me take a look at the question. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Everything seems to be fine. And if you have any questions, be sure to write them down. I will answer them at some point. So to summarize what I've already said, it's important to understand that the main mission of being on this planet, the primary one, is to serve yourself and as a result, your body. And here, I don't even want to say serving your psyche, because when you serve your psyche, meaning, for example, working with the unconscious, you are one way or another doing everything so that your body is in the best possible condition. As a family constellation therapist, I can tell you that 100% of the illnesses that arise in the physical body are those blocks, energetic and physical structures that have formed within the vast algorithm of previous incarnations and ancestral histories. In other words, there is no illness in the physical body that isn't somehow connected to something in the psychological or emotional state. So the first thing you need to understand is that we come to this planet with 3 components: soul, body, and personality. And our task is to make these 3 parts become very good friends so that they serve each other and get along with one another, just like on a normal human level. How long will the webinar last? How long do you want it to be? In general, we planned for about 1 hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours. That's usually how our webinars go. That's it. I've answered the question. So, sorry, what I wanted to say was, so it's important to understand soul, body, and personality. If we start with the basics, with the basic concept of the soul comes into this world to fulfill a divine purpose. So essentially, the soul is God. What is God from the perspective of constellations? From the point of view of quantum physics, from the point of view of science, we have a 22-dimensional space, the so-called monad or soul. And there is a 3-dimensional space, which is, well, the actual physical body. So essentially, the 22-dimensional space is packed into the physical body. And in the 22-dimensional space, essentially, the entire universe resides. So if you look into it, even from a biological perspective, down to our pineal gland, which is located in our consciousness, a huge number of ancestral, karmic, universal, and endless scenarios live within this physical body. And in order for this physical body to be able to connect, process, and restructure all these programs, it is very important to understand and treat the physical body with gratitude, as it is essentially the home for the soul. The webinar is not called "The Body in Which Love Lives" for nothing. Essentially, we are talking about the profound fact that within this very body lives a vast and expansive space with immense untapped possibilities, which can truly help you achieve anything and everything you deeply desire. But for this to genuinely happen, you absolutely need to consistently keep your body in a state of true, genuine, and unconditional love. And this love is present within you in one way or another, because after all, the soul is within you, and the soul in one way or another is God. That is, if we were to divide every quantum or every atom infinitely and study it, you would see that in every atom and in every part of our physical body, there is a soul. In other words, there is what is called emptiness. And when these ancestral karmic programs remain in the body and we are not ready to process them and acknowledge that we are everything, they begin to manifest in the physical body. What do I want to say here? That is, any negative emotion you experience, especially if you start directing that negative emotion at yourself, blaming yourself for something, or at other people, blaming others, you are in one way or another initiating a program of self-destruction for your physical body. So once again, yes, for some reason today's webinar started on rather high-level topics. Well, that's just how it goes. Once again, we have a 22-dimensional world, which includes everything, absolutely all living and non-living things, absolutely everything. All of this, both living and non-living, exists within your soul, and the soul has settled somewhere in the body. And whenever you experience any negative energy toward anything happening around you, you are first and foremost harming your own soul, the 22-dimensional space. That harm automatically transfers to your physical body. And all illnesses, aging, and negative programs that occur, they happen in your physical body only because you experience negative emotions toward other people, toward yourself, toward the environment, or simply get nervous. Of course, a huge number of these programs have come to us from ancestral karmic layers. But if we learn to treat ourselves with respect as conduits of God and can develop within ourselves an attitude of love toward all living things and realize that all living things are in fact us, that they live somewhere within our soul, then we will be able to heal our body as well. So basically, if we translate this into the everyday language of the three-dimensional world, when you, for example, get angry at a guy who didn't show up on time for a date, you are essentially sending that anger into the 22-dimensional space. In other words, into your own soul, which means once again into your own physical body. So when you get angry at someone, you are primarily causing harm to your own physical body. That's why ideally you should reach a level of awareness where you can truly accept all the events that come into your life with love and harmony. Of course, that's quite a high level. It's very difficult for a person to achieve this. We didn't just gather here for this webinar for nothing. We're here to have breakthroughs today and make progress in this direction. Tell us about bulimia. How did you overcome it? Let's talk about that. All right. If we're talking about eating disorders, you can see the root cause through constellations. Through constellations, you can see everything, my dears. Well, pretty much everything, absolutely. And this is important here. And here it's profoundly important to fully realize that once again, any significant illness or physical ailment that arises within the physical body is in essence an unprocessed, unresolved negative emotion that hasn't been completely transformed or transmuted into a state of unconditional love and acceptance. So any situation where you feel a pain somewhere, something whistles, you get a pimple, or something else happens, it means there is a program running somewhere, a program called self-destruction. The self-destruction program is based on a sense of guilt about something. Why? If I feel genuinely guilty about something, I inevitably start directing significant aggression toward myself. And this profound internal struggle also gets powerfully projected onto everything and everyone around you. So any conflict that arises in our environment, no matter with whom or what, whether it's food, a person, a car, a house, or anything else, on a deep subconscious level, it indicates that you have developed a sense of guilt. You can't handle this feeling of guilt and try to blame either someone else or yourself, right? So once again, look, a conflict has occurred. One way or another, you experience this guilt. The guilt becomes unbearable. And in one scenario, you shift this guilt onto someone else, trying to blame them. In another scenario, you start suppressing this guilt by blaming yourself. And when you blame either someone else or yourself, you activate a program of destruction. In other words, you want to either take someone out or take yourself out. In both cases, this desire to take someone out for something directly affects you, because we say the soul lives inside, and everything on this planet is connected to the soul. One way or another, it reflects back on us. In general, if we talk about why people die, age, and start getting sick on a global scale, life expectancy is directly related to where your psyche makes the decision to die. And the psyche, you see, makes the decision to die. Why? Because there is too much guilt and too much of a self-destruction program that we are not in touch with. So if we're looking for a way out of this, there's a quick answer. The fundamental question, or rather the profound and insightful answer, is simply to completely stop looking for precisely who is truly right and who is absolutely wrong, and to entirely cease blaming anyone for anything at all, and to graciously allow the entire universe, the vast world, and every single living being on this beautiful planet to be exactly and precisely as they inherently are. And then consequently, these troublesome swings of right and wrong will completely disappear for us forevermore, good or bad. And we begin to accept that everything that happens on this planet was created by God, and that everything is as it should be. And then we come to realize that no one is to blame for anything, and especially that I am not to blame for anything. And then we stop blaming ourselves. When we stop blaming ourselves, we unconsciously stop punishing ourselves or anyone else. And then our body works not towards destruction, but towards a long life. That is longevity. A healthy state directly depends on how much you understand the value of your physical body and realize that you don't want to experience any negative emotions, so that you don't get an extra wrinkle on your butt or somewhere on your eye or nose. You see what I mean, right? I hope you're following along. We've gone a bit deeper into this topic. This is really important right here. All right. Yulia, thank you for the webinar. About those higher levels you talk about in such simple terms. Some illnesses have come to light, but how do we change that? So right now, the reason I decided to hold this webinar is because we have a club now, right? And we do have a club. There's even a section there called retirement home, nursing home. When I listen to all your ailments there, I say I understand you all very well myself, because, for example, yesterday, apparently I was preparing for our webinar, I was sitting in meditation, and as I was meditating, my right toe just started twisting, just twisting painfully. And on the one hand, I could have said, oh, it hurts so much, I'll go take something for it. But on the other hand, I sit there and start to become aware of where, from my three-dimensional mind, from my three-dimensional world, I acted emotionally, negatively, and triggered a self-destruction program. So look, every time you wish something bad on someone, every time you envy someone, when you want a person to just burn in hell. And we're talking about the fact that our soul lives inside us and that everything living around us is connected to the soul. We automatically harm our own physical body, you see? So one of the ways forward, as far as we can go today, is to accept one important rule. Everything on this planet was created by God, and everything should go as He created it. And when God created everything, there can be no right or wrong, no competition, no anger, or any of those things. And when you start trusting God, believing that everything that happens is as it should be, then you stop getting nervous, stop fighting, and stop trying to blame yourself or someone else. You stop feeling guilty towards yourself and stop trying to destroy yourself. You stop blaming another person and trying to utterly destroy someone else. Because no matter how hard you truly try to destroy someone else, it always, always comes back to you. And here, the profound passage, or the essential way out, or indeed the crucial key, is to truly realize that every single intricate particle on this entire planet is a divine and sacred structure. And this whole vast planet exists entirely within your very own body. And when you treat everything around you with reverence, you begin to treat your own physical body with reverence as well. The body heals, rejuvenates, and reaches an entirely new physical level, because our body has an enormous number of possibilities. Our body contains a huge amount of some kind of energy reserves that can take you anywhere. I'm not going to cite medical studies here. I'm not a doctor. But one way or another, there is evidence that our cells renew themselves regularly. And essentially, if you really wanted to, you could live an endless life. But the thing is, as soon as you are born, you start accumulating things. Your parents tell you, you broke the cup. The parents put the cup on the edge of the table, and the cup fell and broke. The parents can't handle their own guilt for putting it on the edge of the table. So they start piling that blame onto the child, you see? Or, for example, the father comes home from work, something didn't go well at work, he can't handle it, so he grabs a belt and starts hitting the child. And the child no longer even understands why they ended up being the one at fault. And this feeling of guilt is really deeply ingrained in our consciousness. And with any feeling of guilt, we start to develop a pattern where for every guilt, I want to punish myself. And now I'm going to tell you the most important phrase of this webinar. And right here, I really want you to try to connect with me and truly hear it. I will say it as if it comes from the mouth of the universe. Just really listen. No one is to blame for anything. You are not to blame for anything, neither are you. This is all truly God's divine script, and absolutely everything that occurs happens precisely according to the predetermined divine plan. Stop blaming yourself. You are not guilty of anything. Moreover, it is important to acknowledge that there is not a single individual person or any other living being on this entire planet who is truly to blame for absolutely anything at all. It is entirely within the profound domain of God and the intricate karmic programs, in which absolutely no one is truly at fault whatsoever. And when you truly and deeply understand this fundamental concept, you will naturally cease the detrimental habit of speaking negatively about yourself, about other individuals, or indeed about any established system that comprehensively surrounds you. We've gone so far, let's come back down a bit. Let me read some of your questions and we'll do a little constellation work. Tell us about bulimia. How did you overcome it? Bulimia, for example, like any other illness, is very much connected to the self-destruction program. Even on a purely physical level, without going into family patterns, without talking about your mother or anything else. Bulimia is a very clear example of what I just mentioned above. This is what happens to a person. They have a very strong desire to destroy themselves. And they start binge eating to the point of wanting to die. After that, they start blaming themselves for binge eating and begin to vomit it all out. So it turns out that this program of I want to live, I want to die, keeps swinging from one extreme to the other. In other words, bulimia involves extremely strong suicidal and self-destructive tendencies. That's if we look at it from a psychotherapeutic perspective. However, if we consider it from a more comprehensive and systemic constellation perspective, food, indeed everything profoundly related to the act of eating and the broader concept of nutrition, is directly and intrinsically connected to our mother. Because when we are in our mother's womb, we start to feed from her, and that's where our life begins. And the way our mother's pregnancy went, how she gave birth to us, how she breastfed us, and how our relationship with our mother developed later on, all of this directly affects our eating behavior and food addictions. So if we look at it more from a systemic constellation perspective at the level of the parents, in 90% of cases, it's about the relationship with the mother. If we continue talking about our food history, then stories related to our father can also come into play. When there is uncertainty, stories involving our unborn children inevitably come up when we have abortions and want to forget about it. And there is enormous guilt there, and overwhelming guilt about the aborted children. I killed a child. So exhale, exhale. This was destined for that child. It was their fate. You are not to blame for anything. You did everything you could. That's it. Is early menopause possible at 40? Again, you see, we have the nursing home theme. Now I'm starting to look at the questions. I realize that we're hitting this point again. Now, of course, I'll answer more of your questions about illnesses, but the first thing I want to convey is that any story, anything happening with your body, is the result of your actions and your mindset. And any story can be changed when you change your psyche. From my practice, I'll tell you, the most difficult cases are those related to teeth. I've analyzed this a lot. The situation with teeth is really complicated. It's even more difficult to change things with teeth than with bones, you know, like whether you can make your butt grow or not, and so on. But there are even cases where new teeth actually grow, you see? So it's all in the psyche. In the psyche, which is focused on wanting to get rid of this. What else could this be related to? Let me go back a bit to our, I almost want to say, esoteric topics. We come from three positions: soul, body, and personality. And when the soul starts to feel too confined in this body, it wants to destroy the body. When the personality starts to feel too confined in this body, it wants to destroy the body. This war between these three structures often leads a person to actually make such a decision. That's where I see early menopause, early suicide, early illness, disability, and so on and so forth. So what is this? It's when I don't want to deal with this life anymore and just want to die. So every thought you have where you don't want something is directly saying, okay, if I'm tired, I should just die as soon as possible. That's it. Goodbye, liver. Goodbye, kidneys, right eye, left nostril, 35th tooth, hair, and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to ask you to do a small constellation exercise. Take any three objects you have at hand. Here I have, as a bit of an advertisement, a cream from the company Amy. I highly recommend using it. Essential oil, I have it here. And another essential oil, rose. By the way, what I have on my desk, I didn't plan to use for a constellation. It's just some skincare sitting on the table. Rose oil, I use it. It's about femininity. We'll be talking more about that today as well. I have some kind of set there. The guys who work with essential oils made it for me. This is a hand cream. So now take three objects. While I was talking, go and find three objects. Slowly, just take whatever you have at hand. Connect with the three objects. I'm watching the webinar Wild Cough, and what should I do? Cough? Place object number 1 in the field. Just put it however you want, really. I'm assigning the object. Place object number 2 in the field. And place object number 3 in the field. Now put your hand on object number 1. Feel how it is here. Look at what kind of object you ended up with. See what object number 1 feels towards object number 2. See what object number 1 feels towards object number 3. Now put your hand on object number 2. And see what object number 2 feels towards object number 1. And see what object number 2 feels towards object number 3. Now put your hand on object number 3. And see what object number 3 feels towards object number 1 and what object number 3 feels towards object number 2. Now see if they want to move, maybe come together, move apart, or do something else, and let them move in the field as they wish. In the meantime, let me comment. You have a bunch of ailments here. It's clear that we are already with you. We're in a nursing home or maybe even in a hospital. I'll tell you this. If you listen to this webinar harmoniously today and hear everything I say, give yourself permission. Change something in your physical body. Your illnesses can be cured. So, it's just a death wish. Listen, skip it. I see your questions. Give it to me today. The opportunity to fill you with love, because each of you is a part of me. And if I expand my soul, you will all be within it. And if I give you this love, then both your body and mine and a billion other people will be healed. Just allow it in trust and in love. And when you go out into the world from this position, other people become happier too, and your physical body becomes healthier. Do you hear me? It helps a lot. Let's return to our 3 figures. The first figure was the soul, the second figure is the body, and the third figure is the personality. Now look at these 3 figures and realize that none of them can live without the others. And if any of them didn't exist, the others wouldn't exist either. None of these figures can exist without each other. Now please carefully place your hand on figure number 1 and then say, I truly and deeply love you very much. And feel how your soul loves your body. And feel how your soul loves your personality or psyche. And it came here to give this love, primarily to you, because it is inside you. Any fear that each of the figures experiences is simply the fear of loving and being loved. I truly love you. Keep your hand there. And keep always saying to them, I love you. Now place your hand on figure number 2, which is your body. And then say it to the other 2 figures. I truly and deeply love you very much. I love you. Notice how the space is changing. Ideally, the figures should be coming together. If the soul wants to convince, I see the comments. From the second figure, also say it honestly. I love you. The second figure is actually the body. Keep saying it. I love you. I love you. And place your hand on figure number 3. This is your personality. And from your personality, say, I love you. Now, once again, place your hand on figure number 1 and say the following. I acknowledge that if it weren't for you, I wouldn't exist either. And my life depends on you. Now place your hand on figure number 2 and say, I acknowledge that if it weren't for you, there wouldn't be. And me and my life depends on you. And now place your hand on figure number 3 and say, I fully acknowledge and truly understand that if it absolutely weren't for your essential presence, I genuinely wouldn't exist either. And indeed, my entire life fundamentally depends on you. And now we're about to do the most difficult part. Place your hand at the level of the soul, and the other 2 figures now represent your father and mother. Now, the other 2 significant figures present are your beloved parents, those who lovingly gave you the precious gift of life, who bestowed upon you your physical body, your intricate psyche, and who, through their nurturing, allowed your unique soul to be fully realized and expressed. And now, from deep within your very being, take a moment to truly look at your parents, and with heartfelt sincerity, say to them, I deeply love you, and I sincerely thank you for the incredible gift of my life, and thank you truly for everything. For allowing me to realize myself. Now place your hand on figure number 2. And in front of you are your parents again. And from figure number 2, say, I love you. Thank you for my life. And for giving me the opportunity to realize myself and to be born. And now place your hand on figure number 3. And from figure number 3, be aware that you are looking at your parents. I truly love you very much. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to realize myself. Essentially, for a soul to come into this world, it needs the union of body and personality. And so for the soul, its parents are the body and the personality. Essentially, for the body to come into the world, it needs a soul and a personality. And so for the body, its parents are the soul and the personality. For the personality to come into this world, it needs a soul and a body. And in order to work through your issue with the self-destruction program and rejection of the body at the level of your parents, it is very important to realize that without your parents, you wouldn't be here. Every single neural connection where you might want to actively destroy or harm your own physical body is intrinsically connected to the very place where you might desire to destroy your parents. This is because your entire physical body, at the fundamental DNA level, is composed of the genetic material from only 2 distinct individuals. That's your mom and dad. And every time, when you wish death upon yourself, when you engage in the self-destruction program, the only thing you're really doing is wanting to destroy them. And as a therapist, I understand that there are a huge number of traumas and other issues, but I'm here today so that you can reach a new level of understanding in this, so that you can start loving yourself through loving and being grateful to your parents. Where you love and thank your lineage, where you love and thank your karmic incarnations, and in this way, you reach God. And when you love and thank God, you begin to truly love and profoundly thank your very own soul, which is directly and intimately connected to your personality and your physical body. You can thank the space and complete the constellation. Ideally, it should have brought you to this point, to this kind of state, where everything is together. All right, now I will start reading the questions. I'll drink some water, give my physical body some water. The soul wants to run away. The body can't find a place to escape to. All right, everyone is connected. I hope everyone is connected. I suffer from migraines. It's a bodily reaction. It's personally strong. Headache. Look. All right, let's move on to a slightly different section, a slightly different block. If we look at it from the perspective of quantum physics, essentially, the physical body, in order to live, doesn't actually need anything. Yes, because if we break down our physical body to atoms, atoms don't really exist. And it's only the observer who is watching it. Well, you can read Jung's works on this topic, for example. But basically, if we break down the physical body to its tiniest parts, there's nothing there. And essentially, all the stories and desires of the physical body are not actually the body's desires, but come from our psyche. So in essence, the body doesn't need anything. Why can highly enlightened people go without eating for months or even years? Because it's only the psyche that wants to eat. Or, for example, it's only the psyche that wants to kill. In essence, pure consciousness doesn't need anything at all. Truth exists in such deep silence. But again, we have a huge number of ancestral karmic programs imposed on us. It's one thing to know this, and another to know how to apply it in life. I'm very much in favor of making this a practice. And here it's really important to understand that from time immemorial in our system, it was like this. People suffered without shelter, without food, without decent living conditions, and in the end, without a soul. And all these moments have really accumulated in our consciousness, and now we have such an excess of things we can do with our physical body. And here I want to tell you clearly that from the perspective of nutrition, the average person living on planet Earth overeats by 5, 6, or even 10 times. That's just how our psyche works. The amount of food we consume is actually unnecessary. Really, for your physical body. This amount of food is consumed by an unhealthy psyche that wants to compensate with food for some endless number of traumas, starting from the starving people in blockaded Leningrad, for example. A great-grandfather who died of hunger during the war, a past life where I was some kind of stone and didn't eat at all, or maybe a story where my mother didn't feed me enough or didn't love me enough in childhood, and so on. All these stories are where we eat unconsciously, not realizing what we're eating, but we eat anyway. Let's be honest, everyone here, if even 1% of your consciousness, if at least 1% of your consciousness eats mindfully, then honestly, that deserves a deep bow. I can tell you directly, 100% of the food you consume, you do so absolutely unconsciously. Yes, this is really important. When you realize that you're not eating for yourself, you're eating some endless, deep, and powerful traumas that exist. And now please catch yourself in the moment as I say this. Notice what happens in your psyche when I say it. You start blaming yourself again. So if I say this and you start thinking, oh, interesting, I really don't remember what I ate. If, upon realizing this, you start blaming yourself again, you're falling back into the self-destruction program, and then after the webinar, you'll go and eat another 8 cakes, you see? Or you might end up giving yourself an ulcer or something. So the goal here is not to blame yourself. The goal here is to realize that all of this is also predetermined, and that's okay, and it couldn't have been any other way, because we, one way or another, we live in a world created by God, and essentially everything in the world is predetermined. But for some reason you came to this webinar today to hear what is being said. I don't know who is speaking there, but someone is speaking there through me, right? And to you, why did this soul bring you here? So that you could do all this. Listened. Now, if we move further and talk there not only about nutrition, but we talk about some traumas that are connected to moments of direct psyche, for example, serious illnesses such as oncology. I forgot what it's called. The self-destruction program is already direct when one cell devours another cell. I forgot what it's called. And here, the direct self-destruction program is already activated. Yes, the girls are saying the MRI. Something not very good came up and other such moments. So it's very important to realize here that all these programs are also connected to your ancestral scenarios and karmic incarnations. Why? If, for example, in a past life I was Hitler and killed a lot of people and came back from the war, well, hypothetically, or maybe not even hypothetically, maybe it really happened, and I realized how bad and heavy it felt for me, I felt guilty, and I did everything I could to die as soon as possible. And here, I want to move into a deeper concept, something like Dharma. Dharma is, well, something like that. In the Hindu or Vedic tradition, it's called Dharma. I could also call it karma or karmic tasks, where you, in one way or another, understand that you came into this world according to God's purpose, and everything you do in this world, according to God's purpose, you act based on those rules that exist, based upon your personal dharma, and then any situation that truly happens in your life, it happens entirely according to God's divine law. It happens completely according to God's sacred law. And then, whatever may happen, it is all part of the grand design. Even if you killed a mosquito on your forehead, it means that mosquito was destined to die and be reborn as something else. If, for example, you yelled at your child, it means that soul needed to hear it at that moment in time. Then the feeling of guilt moves to another level and it disappears completely. Of course, the story with virtue and your understanding of Dharma should lead to fewer and fewer conflicts. That is, what I talked about at the beginning of today's webinar, every person on this planet is a reflection of you. And when you are in conflict with someone or something, first and foremost, you are abusing yourself and moving toward a program of self-destruction. But if it has already happened, is happening, or suddenly will happen, it is important to understand that these very words to this very person, these very actions to this very person needed to be done and said in order to live out the game that God created. In other words, we are now approaching a very deep concept, which is called everything in this world is predetermined. When you embrace the idea that everything in this world is predetermined, the program of self-destruction is essentially erased within you. Your psyche becomes calmer, your body becomes more at ease, and then you realize that within you lives that very soul, or that very love, for the sake of which we are all gathered here today, in essence. Speaking on high vibrations, I can tell you for sure. I don't know if my team has prepared it or not, girls, but I have courses that are more material in nature, with more grounded energy, because my webinars are always very out there. Since right now, seriously, God is speaking through me. I don't even fully understand what I'm saying myself. But I have a course called Life 120, where we talk about how to live a long life. I give specific, concrete practices there, and a summer-ready body. So go take these courses. Right now, my team will write to you somewhere or make some kind of button. Team, I hope you've prepared everything, my dear team. Autoimmune diseases, thank you. Julia is fasting for 40 days normal. Look, I'll tell you this. When it comes to what's normal or not normal for the physical body, if we move away from the abstract and get into specifics, that's the truth. Let me give you some concrete, down-to-earth details for the next 48 minutes. Of course, everything I say is wonderful, of course. That's certainly ideal, but we're real people who, pee and have our own specific traumas. I'm someone who knows what real physical traumas are. For example, for those who don't know, I had a situation where my kidney was displaced by 13 centimeters, a dropped kidney, nephroptosis, and a twist. Yes, after some time working on myself, my kidney returned to its place and the nephroptosis went away, for example. If we're talking about some really serious things, it seems kind of impossible, but in my life, that's exactly what happened. I actually suffered from bulimia for many years, for a lot of years. Well, obviously, like yesterday, I was listening to Tony Robbins. And in an interview, he said there came a moment when he started talking about how his mother was a drug addict and used to cut him with a knife when he was a child. People ask him why. He says that's when people start to understand that the experiences my mother gave me in childhood made me who I am. And my soul and my mother's soul agreed to do this so that I could reach a new level. So, I only started talking about my bulimia quite recently. I also had a huge sense of guilt there, a huge feeling of self-destruction, shame, and something else. But it's important for everyone to understand that this is normal. We don't poop marshmallows. It's normal for us to have traumas. And that's perfectly okay. It's worse when we have traumas, we cover them up, blame ourselves for them, and destroy ourselves because of them. Do you understand? And this is really a key thing. Don't scold yourself for eating an extra piece of cake or for not being able to resist having a candy at a celebration. Don't scold yourself for not getting up today and going for a run. Instead, inspire yourself to do it. Don't try to be perfect. Trust me. Even super famous people, just believe me, super famous people who talk about health, who talk about doing things right and so on, have serious problems, including physical ones. And when these people themselves don't want to face it, that's when moments come where they enter a self-destructive program and write themselves a fate that leads them to an early death. So, what am I trying to say? Oh, something was just sent to you. What was sent? Where did my chat go? Did it disappear? Oh, look, here. Some girls, can you just make a button so it doesn't go full screen? It went full screen for me, lived to 120, and those body cell things disappeared quickly. Everything is for sale for you, some special conditions. And you can also offer it with my individual support. This is our new technical specialist. So it popped up kind of awkwardly, girls. It popped up awkwardly. I love you all very much, but let's not activate the self-destruct program in me. So I don't get mad at you, my liver doesn't start hurting, or I don't go eat cake. Well, that's roughly how it works, yes. Now I'll give you a quick business mastery lesson at the same time. Apparently it's needed. But by the way, there will be a business constellation soon. Come join. A themed business constellation. You can make it convenient for the client with a single button, make it so that it's expanded. Because my whole chat disappeared. Girls, can we do something? Or, of course, I adore you, but please do something. No, I can scroll up. But for people, it also pops up like that, so that there would be just one button to buy. And all of them are like this concert, like it used to be done before. That's what I wanted to say. So, it's incredibly important to truly accept yourself with all your unique quirks and individual eccentricities as you genuinely perceive them as a magnificent and divine being. And look, everyone, without exception, possesses their own distinct quirks. Even the most very famous, incredibly wealthy, highly renowned, and seemingly perfectly healthy people, as you might initially think. I'm telling you for sure, because I encounter this regularly. I'll tell you even more. Even I, a person who has been working with constellations for many years, even now, while I'm eating healthy, from time to time, something hurts. Something hurts somewhere, something comes up, something goes away, and so on, you know? So that's all perfectly normal. And here, the most important thing is not to let yourself feel guilty, not to activate a self-destruction program, not to compare yourself to others, not to think that there's something wrong with you, but to accept it and do something about it. 90% of success in working through something is the ability to love. To love the trauma that has come your way and to treat it with gratitude. So, for example, if your mother used to cut you with a knife in childhood or raised her hand against you, try to see how amazing it is. See how it affected your life, what serious and even positive events it brought into your life. And if children have problems with learning or are being transferred from one school to another, then calmly accept it or actively work to resolve it. You know, I'll just give one example here, probably because it happened to me just the other day. Makar came to visit me and, well, I'm a vegetarian, I eat healthy, lots of greens, herbs, and so on. But Makar ate absolutely everything, and when he arrived, he ate a lot of sweets too. What could I do? Honestly, there was nothing I could do. I just lived my own life and did my own practices. So 4 days ago, Makar came to me and said, Mom, I want to take an abstinence from sweets. He decided this himself. I wasn't the one pushing him. Of course, I showed him by example, and so on and so forth. But he came and said, I'm giving up sweets. Do you understand? And here, if you have a question about teaching or anything else, as I said at the beginning, the soul encompasses everything around it. If something about others irritates you, look at where that part exists within yourself. You can only influence everything around you through yourself, especially when it comes to your children. Children are made from you, from your DNA. If your children are having problems with learning, look at where you have these learning problems yourself, where this part is resonating within you. And transferring from one school to another, well, no matter which corner you go to, Well, my dear ones, schools are just a system, a structure that has emerged in a certain order. Mother, when we change schools and complain about the school, we are simply complaining about the mother. And when children complain about the school, they are actually complaining about their mother. And when my children complain about their mother, most likely, I am complaining about my own mother. So instead of worrying about children leaving or entering schools, work on your relationship with your own mother. System, system, system. And then it will be much easier, both for the children and for you. Because right now, this is also one of the important things. I've already said, this is the most important thing I will say. The only reason you live on this planet is you. And when you consciously and intentionally stop shifting your primary focus and attention to other people, including your beloved children, you will undoubtedly gain that very profound understanding of what it truly means to serve yourself and your own body, nurturing your well-being. And when you are able to focus on yourself and your body, your neurons will begin to heal. And if your neurons start to heal, your children's neurons will begin to heal in exactly the same way, because your children are made from you. Today, before the webinar, I was sitting and Makar cooked borscht for me himself. He went and made borscht on his own and got the grandmothers all worked up. Two grandmothers were helping to cook the borscht. And he and I are sitting together and I say something. He says, "You're honestly lying." I say to him, "What kind of expression is that?" He says, "I learned it from my mom. That honestly lying thing, that's an expression we have in our family." I say to him. And his mom says, "Where did you get that expression from?" I say to him, "Guess." And when I was little, my mom used to say, "You're honestly lying to me too." Well, that's just an example. One way or another, we are made up of our mother and father 100%. And we will 100% repeat their patterns. And the best thing we can do to change these patterns is to acknowledge them within ourselves. So essentially, if we go back to the constellation we did, the desire to eliminate your mother and father from yourself is equal to the desire to destroy yourself. The deepest program of self-destruction truly begins the very moment you harbor even the slightest negative thought or feeling about your parents, whether it be a fleeting doubt or a persistent grievance. Any part where your mother was somehow not right, your father was somehow not right, you will 100% repeat what they did. And the only way out of this is to accept it and work through it. Is that clear? I personally know how difficult this is, but that's exactly what I want to guide you through. If we're going through the parental level, I'm guiding you through the soul level. And I also want to guide you through the physical body. Because if we're talking about soul, body, and personality, specifically about the physical body, then no matter how you look at it, the physical body is made up of your mother and father. That's why you can heal the physical body by fully accepting your mother and father. Of course, this is practically impossible to do. In fact, I'll tell you, it's impossible. But it's quite realistic to make progress in this. If you have gynecological problems, go bow to your mother and tell her that she is the best. Because if you have started early menopause, I remember there was a question about this, go and just sit and think, what an amazing mom I have. I can't even, especially her sexuality, especially her uterus, especially her genitals and so on. If you have problems with your bones, go and think about how awesome your dad is, especially his bones. Thank God he is my father. Just for a second. Oh, Makarik. Makar. Christina, call Makar and tell him someone is knocking at the door. Someone is ringing our doorbell. All right, let's move on to questions now. Someone came to the door, they're ringing. Just a moment. Okay, just a second. One moment, we're taking a break. I'm calling. Just a minute, girls, really quick. I need to take a deep breath. Some men are ringing our doorbell. Hello? Makar, someone's ringing the doorbell. Please open it. I can't hear it. Okay, go ahead. All right, let's keep going and continue this journey. I successfully got through it. I've personally been doing this myself for many, many years now, and it has proven to be quite effective. So I've been biting my nails myself since I was about 3 or 4. I remember it exactly. Now I'm 34. I promise myself I won't, but I still do it. Well, it's good that you admit it. I'll even tell you too. Even I bite my nails from time to time. Nail biting is a direct self-destructive program. My son Makar bites his nails because it's a direct self-destructive program. And look, on the one hand, it's shameful, but on the other hand, there's nothing really wrong with it, because after all, we're all human, and we all live according to our own programs, you know what I mean? So, what do I want to convey to you in today's webinar? Acceptance of ourselves as we are. And when we accept ourselves as we are, we give our parents the right to be who they are. And when we give our parents the right to be who they are, we no longer want to nag them. Because every time you open your mouth, even just in your head, and criticize your parents, you are criticizing yourself and carrying a program of self-destruction. I'm not even talking about what comes next. This is basic about parents. But in fact, it affects everything in your life. Because in every man you nag, you see your father. And in every woman you nag, you see your mother. That's why, at the core, I had you do the constellation, connecting the soul, body, and personality with your parents. Because essentially, on one hand, it's about the parents, but on the other hand, it's the body nagging at the soul. The soul nags at the personality nags. In other words, any conflict that exists in your space on the level of the three-dimensional world is, in one way or another, at the level of the 22-dimensional world, connected to the conflict between the soul, body, and personality. That's it. This is the fundamental conflict. The soul, body, and personality are in conflict. It starts with this not being right, that not being right, something's off here, something's off there, and this isn't quite it either. That's it, all of us. Look, just as the soul, body, and personality made an agreement and came down to this planet, in the same way, every living being on this planet made an agreement and came here to live. I really love this metaphor. Let me share it with you here. So look, imagine there's a theater troupe, like actors, just actors. There are, say, 100 actors who travel together, and they're very close people. They've been traveling together for billions of ages. They're so cool. They love each other. But when they go on stage, they have to play their roles. And now realize that each of these actors stepping onto the stage is one of you. And later you'll take off these roles and go backstage again. And there you become very close once more. And when you start to realize this, you begin to love every actor and allow them to play their part. But deep down, you still know that you are the closest people to each other. And in this play, that actor had to play such a role. And then this program of self-destruction towards others and towards yourself completely disappears because there is no one closer to you than yourselves. And we are all one vast ocean where each drop has emerged, or one big acting troupe that loves each other deeply, but each simply plays their own part. And now just think about all the people who cause you some discomfort. Your competitors, those ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends. Who else do you have? Sisters, brothers, parents? Realize that outside of this particular play, you are actually very close and dear people, all made from one truly big, big and expansive soul. And this profound understanding will certainly help you become healthy and whole. Because another one of the most serious programs, the reason you get sick, is a state. Now I'll guide you a bit through the religious egregore, a state where everyone is born in sin. We were raised in such a way that from early childhood we start asking God to forgive our sins. The program is set up in such a way that we supposedly arrive here with God up there and us down here, and we have to atone for our sins a lot because we are sinners. And here, it's important to understand that we are actually a part of God. Of our three aspects, the soul is already here. Neither the body nor the personality is a sinner. To rise up here to the level of God, you are the embodiment of God on this planet. And God cannot get sick. Only the victim can get sick. Do you understand? And all illnesses, in essence, drive us into the position of a victim. Because when you start the self-destruction program, part of you becomes the tyrant, and part of you becomes the victim. And the tyrant starts tormenting the victim. Essentially, this body, this very body, is the victim. And the soul or the personality becomes the tyrant. So the soul, the personality says, you're worthless, you have cellulite on your butt, your eyes are crooked, your nose is messed up, go on, get surgery. Bang! The body goes under the knife, bam! As a sacrifice, you see? So the point here is to realize that the body is not some kind of servant or a victim. The task here is to pull ourselves out of this victim role, to rise above it. And if we approach this through religion, meaning through the fifth level of constellations, which is the universal level that I work with, right? To rise to the level of God, to realize that the physical body is the embodiment of God, that the soul exists in every single cell. Even if you cut off your finger, the soul will remain there, you see? Truly grasp this on that level. And the second level of this sacrificial program that we have, where we constantly want to destroy our own body, is where unfortunately our parents forgot to pay attention to us. It's where we could only attract attention through illness or injury. And this is also a major program where attention could only be received through pain. This is also connected to the wars that have taken place over billions of centuries in the ancestral karmic system, where energy was only obtained through sacrifice, right? Even if you look at any current hotspots on the planet, wherever there is war, there is energy. Why is that? Because there are a large number of victims, a large number of sacrifices. And in general, in the global system, there is this idea that wherever there are victims, there is energy, and we often feel drawn to fall into this victim role. And primarily, this victimhood manifests itself in the physical body. As soon as you start feeling like a victim, you inevitably fall into the roles of tyrant and victim. And you inevitably end up in a position where your body is subjected to a self-destruction program. And then, if the body is stuck in victimhood, you have to make up some nonsense out of thin air. You know what I mean? And when you start slipping into victimhood, you inevitably have to make up some kind of nonsense. Your brain will quickly come up with something like a nasal polyp or a spot on your eye, and all of that will actually manifest for you. So, getting out of the victim mindset means rising to the level of God and realizing that you are God yourself, and getting out of victimhood means rising to the level of the author of your own life and stopping being stuck in the victim role. Because any victim position wants to attract the energy of abuse. The energy of abuse for the physical body always manifests as some kind of illness, always some kind of illness, you see? I feel like we've gone really deep together. For those who don't know, I usually conduct webinars from the channel, from the flow. When I sat down, I had no idea what I was going to say. This time, it turned out to be very, deep, a bit out there, but also more grounded. Be sure to go, here, just for you. Oh, you did exactly as I asked. See how great you are. You're my smart ones. Christina Lina sending you love. I have the perfect team because I am perfect. Click there for special conditions. You have special offers for my 2 courses, Body for Summer and Life 120. Be sure to go, okay? Deep transformations, deep work. Let me put it this way, there won't really be any repetition from this webinar because I'm basically speaking from somewhere in outer space during the webinar. There, the work is very deep, which you will be able to go through and truly reach a new level. Yulia, you are very natural. It's a pleasure to listen to and watch you. Yes, thank God. Thank you, my dears. That tells me that you are entering into this love, when you start to see this beauty in others as well. My team, you see, sells so well. Go ahead, buy it. You have a picture of a magician on your t-shirt. Yes, I have a picture of a magician on my t-shirt. The first arcana, that's right. The desire to enlarge your breast to the point of self-destruction. Yes. The desire to change something in your physical body is a self-destruction program. In the specific case of breasts, it means I want my mother to die. Breasts are, well, the mother. And when I don't like my breasts, I want to cut off my mother and get myself new breasts. Basically, to completely replace my mother. This is a self-destruction program for the female mother, the female lineage, for oneself as a woman on the planet, and so on. Let me tell you this. I am categorically against any interventions in the physical body, especially changes to appearance, unless it actually harms, well, real life. Sometimes there are things like, well, teeth, for example. Well, I actually did change my teeth. I put it off until the very last moment, until the very end, because mine were worn down. Oh God, now. Well, for example, my story with my teeth. I worked on it for a very long time. I went to my therapist. I said, let them grow back, but because I experienced a lot of abuse in my childhood and many years of bulimia, my teeth were worn down. So this constant tension and a lot of that, well, you know what I mean, right? The entire layer of my teeth was completely worn down. So my teeth were small and I no longer had any enamel left in my whole mouth. It wasn't just one tooth that needed to be replaced, but my entire mouth. So the decision was made that I needed to get these, what are they called? Veneers or something. Well, basically crowns on my teeth. So when it gets to the point where you literally have nothing left to chew with, then of course you have to replace, say, your teeth. But if your physical issues aren't, I actually waited until the very end, hoping that my enamel would grow back. It didn't grow back. I kept spacing things out, messing around with it until the very last moment. By the way, that issue still isn't resolved for me. I still have one more tooth here on the left side, apparently still holding on for my mom. Yeah, but when you want to change your breasts, when you want to change your nose, your lips, the shape of your eyes, whatever else, you're really hurting your body. That's definitely a program to destroy the mother. cutting off your breasts is killing the mother. Well, not cutting off, but changing them. Changing your nose is, for example, destroying the father, you see? So look, the point is, you can get those beautiful breasts, get that beautiful nose, but inside, nothing will actually change. The self-destruction program will still be there. You'll just shift it to some other place, you know? You change your breasts, and then something pops up in your uterus. You change something in your uterus, and then something pops up in your, I don't know, somewhere else. And it will go on like that endlessly. So the main thing here is to be honest with yourself, truly honest with yourself. Because any illness cured with medicine will just show up somewhere else, since the bigger issue hasn't been resolved. The issue of the parental, ancestral, karmic system, the psyche, most importantly, hasn't been resolved. What if it's a plate in the reproductive organs? I don't know. Yulia, excess weight is the body's way of protecting itself. Look, there are a lot of reasons for excess weight, starting from ancestral hunger programs to things like I was a praying mantis female and ate men, or there was no father, or there were issues with the mother. Telokleti! Take the Teloklet course. For 14 days, we break down the topic of excess weight in detail. There, I give you basic exercises and nutrition plans. And for 14 days, we address every possible trauma related primarily to excess weight, and we actually work through them. There are a huge number of reasons for excess weight. Unborn children, finishing food for deceased relatives who didn't eat. Then there's the massive issue with the mother. Well, bulimia, let me tell you, is definitely an issue with the mother. I hate my mother. I want to devour my mother. When you overeat, you want to consume your mother. You didn't get enough of her love, you see? And then I hate my mother. I want to get her out of me. Any overeating, especially sweets, cakes, cookies, that's all about mother's milk. Mother's milk, when you were a child, was sweet and tasty. So any overeating, especially of sweets, is definitely about trauma related to the mother. You can go on endless diets, forbid yourself things. Then you put yourself on a diet, forbid yourself to eat, but at night you break down, binge, and now you blame yourself for overeating. You see? Again, it's a self-destruction program. You've activated the self-destruction program. You can keep doing this endlessly. The goal is to reach a state where, when it comes to food, you have this kind of inner intuitive eating where you basically love your body. Now we're moving on to another important section that I definitely want to talk about. It's called serving your body. The only reason you are here is to serve yourself. This whole world should align with the fact that you are in service to yourself. And the basic primary act of serving yourself begins with the three-dimensional world of serving your body. And serving your body means knowing how to put on the best clothes, wash your hair with the best shampoo, give yourself the best massage, and feed yourself the best food. When you stuff yourself with, I don't know, some 2-day-old spoiled cheburek. I have no idea why I'm saying this. Who here has eaten chebureks? Own up! Well, where is the service to your body in that? Where is the self-love? And it's clear that it's not really you eating that cheburek, but most likely your great-grandmother from blockaded Leningrad, who had nothing to eat. But on a psychological level, stop and ask yourself, do I actually need a cheburek right now or not? Maybe I just need to wait? You get what I mean, right? Maybe I really don't want to eat. Or maybe it would be better for me to go and buy myself, I don't know, an oyster or something after all. You get it, right? And this is a really important point. Where you need to take responsibility first and foremost is in serving your own body. Because if you don't serve your body, serving it is your most important job. Look, your single most important and fundamental job is to diligently serve your physical body. Everything else truly doesn't matter as much, because if your precious body unfortunately fails, then absolutely everything else stops too. You're on this planet primarily and essentially for yourself, and your primary and most crucial task is to serve yourself and your invaluable body, and to work diligently on those deeply ingrained programs that actively prevent you from truly serving your body and its inherent needs. So when you ask me if excess weight is a form of protection for the body, yes, it is, among other things. But you need to look into and figure out where it came from. Maybe it's a great-grandfather who died of starvation and now the body gains weight so it can survive hunger longer, you see? Yulia, is a miscarriage always family karma, or can it be personal as well? Where is it best to look among your products? Look, let's put it this way. There is no such thing as family karma. When you come to me for a constellation session, you need to understand that the program we live through is always present in our parents because it's in the DNA of the family system, the cosmic system, the universal system. So to say, I'm working off family karma, that's just the family being an abuser again. And here I am again, the poor victim. Look, you chose this family line yourself because your soul, which appeared before the family line, needs to work through this trauma, in this specific case related to miscarriage. So as soon as you start dividing things in your mind into family karma and someone becomes the abuser, you can hear it all in the question. As soon as the family karma becomes that of abusers, you'll definitely get a pimple on your butt. Or, maybe fibroids in the vagina. You get it, right? That's how it is. To get rid of illnesses, your task is to rise up here. In any situation, rise up here. In any situation, rise up here. This applies to any situation in life. That is to realize that the president of the country is also a part of you. That's also a part of you. Is there something wrong with my skull? Sorry, something is uploading somewhere or not uploading. Oh, Yulia, a miscarriage, okay? Yulia, after anesthesia, you started gaining weight. Look, again, what I'm saying, my dears, is just that we have such a topic. You see, a deep one has come up. So I will answer deeply. Look, you say after anesthesia, you started gaining weight. Anesthesia, abuser, I'm the victim. Anesthesia hit me hard. I'm in the victim role. Realize that anesthesia isn't the main thing. It's you, and you can handle any situation. Take responsibility, and then you will find solutions. You started gaining weight. You need to look at your diet. Go get a blood test. Really look at where this is coming from. Dig into your mind and so on. You see? What do I want to lead you to today in this webinar? To the fact that you are the house of God. God lives inside you. And your primary task is to diligently do everything so that God truly feels profoundly good inside you. And when you realize this, you understand that you don't really need to overeat. You shouldn't get too nervous. You need to take care of your body, pamper it with massages, get your manicure and pedicure done on time. Do you understand? Because you are truly the sacred and divine temple of God. And within God are all the living, breathing, and magnificent beings that exist and thrive on this beautiful, vibrant, and incredibly diverse planet, each one a unique expression of the divine. And then this profound program of virtue and genuine care for all living beings is truly activated within you, because it was first activated towards yourself. And from that very point, a deep and abiding love for this entire world begins to truly form and take shape. And when you are in harmony and love with everything that happens, even with anesthesia, after which you started gaining weight, the anesthesia also begins to love you. And instead of abuse, there is love. And then you start to support each other very strongly, and no one has a negative influence on anyone else. And all illnesses come to an end and go away. All illnesses come to an end and go away. Do you understand? So this is exactly what I want to lead you to today. To lead you right to this point. Well, I don't see any more questions. I have excess weight after 40. Before that, I was always thin. Well, either you need to look into any abortions that happened, or maybe some kind of stress affected you. There's always a reason for it. And the important question here isn't whether you're thin or overweight, but rather what's happening inside you because of it. For example, when I moved to America, during the first 3 months, I gained 5 kilograms. For me, I weigh about 50, give or take. So 5 kilograms is 10% of my weight. That's quite a lot, actually. But I understood very clearly that it was because, well, I had left my mom. And in a way, my mom also represented my country. So in a sense, my mom was, roughly speaking, lost to me, you know? Stability and everything else. I started to look into that part and began to work on it. In that case, it's not America abusing me, but rather I acknowledge why this is happening. I start working on it, you see? Every illness has a deeper cause, and that deeper cause is a program of self-destruction, of dissatisfaction with oneself. That's what I'm saying. The webinar today is really about this. So the goal is to learn to love, value, and respect yourself. Now let's move on to specific things that need to be done for the body. The body has basic functions, which are called energy. We tend to think that the body should get its energy from food, but that's not true. The body doesn't get any energy from food, because if you eat too much, you don't even want to move. Well, I think everyone notices that after a heavy lunch, you just want to go take a nap. So it's incredibly important to fully understand that the human body primarily gets its vital energy and essential vitality from proper breathing techniques, consistent and beneficial physical exercise, and maintaining a truly harmonious and balanced mind. Because 90% of our energy is used by our brain. When our brain works chaotically, it simply drives the physical body into a huge number of illnesses. So, what exactly do I specifically recommend doing in order to truly have a healthy and robust physical body and maintain it over time? The most important and first thing you need to do is to calm your mind. Believe me, if you learn to meditate for at least 10 minutes a day and stay calm so that you don't explode with emotions at every situation that arises, because every emotional situation in your life leads you to a self-destruction program. We've already talked about this. So, if you want a healthy physical body, start meditating. What does meditation give you? Meditation calms the mind. Here in our club, for example, we practice pranayama. Any kind of meditation. I have Tony Robbins meditation. You can sit in silence, ideally work up to 30 minutes a day. So, a calm mind, remember, soul, body, personality. A calm mind guarantees that the physical body gradually recovers. Really pay attention to this. The second crucial thing you absolutely need to do is to completely abstain from consuming food. We seriously and consistently overfeed ourselves as a society, not just by 1, 2, or even 3 times the necessary amount. Sometimes we even overdo it by 10 times. We eat 10 times more than we actually need. That's why I highly recommend actually fasting once a week, or at least fasting on Ekadashi. I strongly recommend not eating after 6 in the evening. No one dies from this. Understand this. Just try eating less yourself. You'll see how your wrinkles smooth out, your acne disappears, and your body starts functioning better. From a medical point of view, there is a process called autophagy. After 24 hours of abstaining from food, and even better, from water as well, the process of autophagy is triggered in your body. Autophagy is a process where the body starts destroying old cells. In essence, it begins to take out the trash from your system. And you can heal a huge number of diseases this way. When I was young, I read Paul Bragg's books on fasting. Honestly, fasting really does cure a great many illnesses. That's why I insist that we start, or rather, that you start. I have a lot of people who fast with me once a week. We fast together in the club, and I fast there regularly. Let me tell you this, these weekly fasts of mine actually cured me of bulimia, among other things, because the psychopathological disorders related to eating behavior gradually started to go away. Of course, I worked on all aspects in a comprehensive way, but fasting once a week really boosts your immune system and takes it to a new level. I understand that sometimes it's hard to do this right away, but at least start small. Well, at the very least, I don't know, have breakfast and then try to abstain until the next breakfast. Or at least make it a rule for yourself not to eat after 6 in the evening, or even after 4. In other words, breaks in eating are a very important part of the modern world. I'm telling you from my own experience, it really helps you achieve better health. It really cleanses your skin, your energy, and so on. And those who have fasted with me, I know that most likely there are many here who have fasted with me. I have been fasting for many years. Well, after fasting for just 1 day, the next morning you feel a ton of energy, an enormous amount of possibilities. The third thing that's necessary for a healthy body, no matter how you look at it, is physical activity. Physical activity. Without physical activity, there's just no way. One way or another, it's at least 10,000 steps a day or some basic set of exercises. If you join the Body for Summer course, there I just give 8 basic exercises. Just 8 exercises that take you 15 minutes a day, and honestly, your life starts to move in a different direction. In the Body for Summer course, I give you a nutrition list, you see? There you have vegetarian options, non-vegetarian options, and so on. Regarding nutrition here as well, look, I don't want to urge you right now to stop eating meat or anything like that. By the way, do you want to hear my story about meat? I can tell you if you want. After that, I stopped. When I started really getting into all of this, I thought, what the... And besides, I have type O blood, and since childhood, my mom always told me, people with type O blood have to eat meat. People with type O blood have to eat meat. I'll never forget that. And one day during meditation, I get this message, and I go to the store where I usually buy everything, where I usually buy meat. This was about 5 or 6 years ago. Can you imagine, on the shelves, they're selling a woman's thigh. They're, a man's liver. I look, and there's the head of a baby, Macary's head, damn it, being sold in the fridge. My own thigh is being sold. And it was like something just snapped inside me. I just realized, that's it, I don't want this. Well, I mean, that's just my experience. Yours might be completely different. I'm not insisting that you should just stop eating meat. I talk about this at other public meetings and so on. But you need to understand what you're putting in your mouth. You need to understand what kind of energy is going in there. And here it's even a question of something as simple as an apple. You can buy an apple from a garden, or you can buy one that's made of chemicals and printed on a 3D printer, right? And here too, it's really and truly important that you actually fully realize and comprehend what specific kind of nourishing food is entering your precious body. That's absolutely it. Cetis. That's it. As soon as I decide to start working out, I immediately get really sick. Well, here we go again with sports. Again, look, you say I want to do sports. Here, I'm the victim. Again, sports are beating me up. If we talk about this, let's transfer it to parents. Well, dad is beating me up and I get sick because of him. So who's in charge, sports or you? Well, what questions are there? Just take charge over sports, stand up and go do sports so that you are the one in control. That's how you stop being a victim. You know, it's like with money. Is it money that will hurt you? I want money, I feel bad without it. Or are you the one in charge of money? Is it sports that will hurt you, or are you the one in charge of sports? Rise above it, my dears. As soon as something makes you feel bad, it means you're not in control there. But when you are in control, you start to steer it. You choose sports and you choose to go do it. And there's a big difference between doing something because you have to and doing it because, well, your soul, body, and personality love each other. Because you understand that you have a great soul and your soul needs a clean, beautiful body to live in. Yulenka, fasting with you in the club by weeks. I used to fast before too, by my own choice. When I was studying at university, I also did it once a week. Well, that's how things are going with the kittens. Go ahead and ask, my dears. So in general, I've told you some basic things. Now let me see, something else now. I really recommend you to go, seriously, go to the course Body for Summer Life 120. There we go over such deep, really specific aspects. It's really about, bringing yourself a system, really bringing yourself a system, because the whole thing there is all about depth, about breast lifting. Lost weight, breasts sagged. Well, I don't know, why don't you like your breasts? I also have stretch marks on my butt. So what? I'm human. I'm not a machine. Today's webinar, is about accepting yourself as you are. As soon as you start criticizing your breasts, looking in the mirror like, oh, why are they sagging? That's it. Goodbye. You're in a self-destruction program. That's it. You're in a self-destruction program. In order to avoid health problems, you need to go through a program of loving yourself as you are, with any breasts, any stretch marks, any, I don't know, nose, whatever, lips, I don't know, ears, fleas, or anything else. And then the war ends, you see. So as long as you want some kind of reduction or lift, there's a war going on between you and your breasts. And the war between you and your breast is a war between you and your mother. Yulia, how do you get out of this self-destruction program? I understand everything, but I don't do it. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. Today's webinar actually turned out to be all about the self-destruction program. But if you want specific actions, for example, if you catch yourself thinking, well, you walk up to the mirror and think, damn, why am I so puffy? Just like that, every time you have a negative thought, counter it with 3 positives. Oh, but my hair is beautiful. Oh, and my eyebrows are so pretty. And my nails, is that clear? So, on a physical level, you need to drive these thoughts out of your head. So, look, this is how the brain works. It grows exactly the seeds you plant in it. If you plant crap in there, crap will grow. If you plant roses, roses will grow. Of course, if you walk up to the mirror and say, damn, I've really gained weight, of course you're going to gain weight. If you walk up and say, oh, what a beauty, of course you become more beautiful. And that's why this crazy program, it came to us. I told you where it came from. We have a huge number of generational patterns. There's nothing wrong with saying that. But train your brain for this. Like, what's up with this weird hair? Oh, look how long they are. And what about my eyelashes? In other words, direct your mind to the moments when you start to praise yourself. I think we have in life about 120, if I'm not mistaken. There's even a specific topic where you'll be saying, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. to get into this global program of self-love and admiration for yourself just as you are. And the litmus test for this will be that the whole world starts treating you the same way. Do you understand? Seborrheic dermatitis is about abuse. It's about poor self-care. When you love yourself, you don't allow people who might abuse you into your space. You are in service to yourself. And if someone says something, well, goodbye. Julia, how do you... Yeah, you get it, right? You understand what I'm talking about, right? That's it. And you develop this deep feeling. Your center of gravity rises to the level of the fourth chakra, the anahata. And you develop such a tremendous inner love for yourself and service to yourself. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You simply understand that the most important thing for you is your body. If your body is uncomfortable, it won't sit here. You come to a restaurant and the sofa is uncomfortable, so you say, "Excuse me, could you bring a cushion?" And they bring you a cushion, but it's still uncomfortable. You say, "No, I'm serving my body. It's uncomfortable and unpleasant for you here. I'll go to another restaurant." But you really have to be in service to your body. If they bring you this salad, even if you paid for it, but it doesn't taste good, you eat it, but it's not pleasant for your body. But you really won't eat it because you are serving your body, you see? If, for example, you start applying a shampoo and you don't like it, into the trash it goes, because you are serving your body. If someone sits next to you and starts saying, "Why are you so weird, so crooked?" You don't even try to prove anything. You don't even want to pretend. You just say, that's it, I'm leaving." You get up and leave because you are serving your body. Do you understand? If, say, you get into some kind of conversation with someone and they start criticizing you, you won't get involved. You won't try to prove anything to anyone because you are already the best person on this planet. You are already serving your body, you see. So what's the point of proving anything to anyone? It's just, well, pointless. A person either wants to be with you and you create something together, or they don't. That's it, really. And you have a rule to serve your body. If he wants to be with you and sit on a wooden bench, but you don't want to, then you serve your body. So you say, "Honey, I'm sorry, I can't sit on a wooden bench. I'll go sit in an armchair instead." Because your foundation is serving your body. Thank you, Lena, all right? And what about hair loss? No, there can be various flaws. If you look at it biologically, it could also be ferritin. The reason I'm saying this is because I went through it myself recently when I moved. And ferritin is about the father insecurity, feeling like the ground has been pulled out from under your feet, for example. You really need to take a close look. Or it could just be a lack of love for your own hair. Hair doesn't just fall out for no reason. Like in my club, I recently recorded something about this. You say things like, "Yo, grow braid down to my waist. If you don't grow, oh, but you don't love your own hair. That's why it leaves you." Do you remember which fairy tale that was from your childhood? Fedora's grief. She didn't wash her dishes, so the dishes left her. It's the same with you. If you love your hair, it won't leave you. Love your lips, and they won't leave you either. Love your body, and it won't go to any kind of death. So let's not have any of that Fedora's grief, so that it doesn't turn out like I don't even remember exactly how that fairy tale went. I just remembered, but in that story she didn't wash the dishes, her poker ran away, her pot ran away, everything just ran away from her. Just start loving it. It starts with the physical body and ends with everything else. With your home, for example. Many people dream of having a home, but the space they live in is a mess, well, not cleaned up. But if I were a new house, I wouldn't want to come to you because I wouldn't want that kind of mess to spread in my home. You get what I mean, right? Or money, you know? Like, I don't want to come to you because, well, there's such chaos with this money. This applies to everything. But at the core, of course, it's about the physical body. How do you expect your liver to feel good if there's always a mess in your body, you see? So here, it's important to love every organ. So, for example, if your liver starts to hurt, you should say, "My dear liver, how much I love you. Why are you hurting?" It will tell you itself what's wrong, you see? Yesterday I was sitting in meditation and suddenly my toe started hurting so much it was just aching. So right away I said, "Little toe, why are you hurting? I love you so much. What do you need?" It told me exactly what it needed and I massaged it. People read fairy tales, good for them. No, it's actually fun to massage it. And what about you? Why are you stroking it so nervously? Just massage your toes. Simply knead your toes like this. Start loving them. When something hurts, you want to understand what exactly is hurting. But just start stroking it. If your toe hurts, that's it. If your toe doesn't hurt, then it's fine. You know, my mom or maybe my grandma used to tell me this when I was a kid. I can't remember which. The little dog was hurting, the little cat was hurting, but Yulechka isn't hurting. It's all gone. Love. Where there is love, there is no abuse. And where there is no abuse, there is no pain, you see? So the task is to bring yourself into love for your own body. You must learn to love your body. When you shower, do you at least kiss your knees? So bend over in the shower and kiss your knees. Do you understand? They're like, ah, maya, maya, ma. Chimney sweep. Do you kiss your own hands? But you don't kiss yourself, and then you get upset with your husband for not being affectionate. But are you affectionate with yourself? When was the last time you told your body how much you love it? When was the last time you spoke to your little toes, to your ears, to your nose, told them that you love them? You don't go around telling everyone else. Start by telling yourself. Tell your cheeks how much you love them. Tell your shoulders. Do you understand? Then your hair won't fall out, nor your teeth, nor your eyelashes. Your nose will become straight. Your breasts will transform from having stretch marks into a beautiful lifted chest, you see? Your buttocks will immediately become firmer. Any living being that is showered with love looks very beautiful. Just take two dogs, for example. Love one and beat the other. Which one do you think will look more beautiful? The one you love? So you have your own body. Why are you always trashing it? What kind of word is that? Well, I mean hurting it. Do you understand? I mean, you know, I'm saying stop turning your body into that very dog that's constantly being beaten. Do you get it? One person gives you a slap on the head, then another, but the biggest number of slaps you give yourself. How is that? Can you love your little animal? Because your body essentially is like a little animal. Hug yourself more often, kiss yourself, buy yourself some tasty and healthy treats. Am I making myself clear, my dears? And really, just remember that metaphor with the two dogs. How are you treating yourself right now? Like some stray mutt or like your most beloved dog? For example, I have a dog and my dog is just pure love. Anyone who knows her, you see, everyone tells me, what kind of dog do you have? The dog is the way she is because she's treated with love. She's not just a dog, she's the embodiment of love because everyone loves her. And sometimes you love your dogs more than you love yourself. Just look at her, that's all. She's sleeping. You see? Total trust. Absolute. I just picked her up and boom, she flopped right over. And that's exactly how your body should be, in total trust. If your body is constantly tense, worried that something bad will happen to it, but you kiss it, stroke it, it will start to trust you too, and believe me, it will respond with love very quickly. Any illness can be healed with love. And you don't need to try to get that love from others. When you try to get it from others, you fall into the victim role and try to extract it through manipulation. Get it from yourself. Look, she's just lying there. And this little dog has a clear understanding that she is deeply loved, well supported, and that no one will let her be hurt. That's exactly how it should be with your body. It should know that you love it very much and support it deeply, and you will never ever let anyone hurt it. And then it becomes more beautiful, responds to you in kind and heals. And for that, as I have always told you, optimal nutrition, consistent exercise, mindful meditation, the finest bed linens, the most comfortable and stylish clothes, truly everything of the absolute best quality for it. Life, after all, isn't very long. Let this precious body live in the most optimal and comfortable conditions possible. And believe me, that's where the money is too. Because when you truly make the decision that your body will receive only the best, you'll soon realize that you suddenly have the money for the best hotels, the best food, and the best restaurants. Do you understand? Because you stop choosing bad things for yourself, not because you need to make more money, but simply because you just can't allow yourself to eat crappy food or sleep on crappy sheets. But for that, my dears, there has to be order, you see? Because when you have chaos, when you're in some kind of mess with an unstable mind, your body doesn't deserve to live in that. Cleanliness and order. At the very least, I have flowers on my table, little bouquets. Do you understand? Yulia, thank you so much for the broadcast. It was very clear and interesting to listen to you. What? Are we already saying goodbye? Let me answer your questions for about 10 minutes. So there are special conditions. Everyone click the green button. Let's all go over. I'm really encouraging you to join me for individual support. It's more expensive, but in the Body for Summer course, you'll have 14 days with me. Every day you can ask me questions for individual support. I'm with you practically 24/7 on Telegram. Well, not literally 24/7. I do sleep too. By the way, actually, we haven't talked about sleep yet. Good thing I remembered. As for sleep, we don't eat for 4 hours before going to bed, and ideally we sleep in an auric sleep. Auric sleep means sleeping alone. Ideally, we sleep on our backs. When following the developed program, we sleep on our backs. Ideally, our room is well aired out and comfortably cool, and ideally we should fall asleep, well, definitely before 11 o'clock in the evening. Ideally, we have bedtime rituals. I can share my own rituals. In the evening, I write my pages. First Makar and I do some Abhi exercises. Then we meditate for 5 minutes together. Then in the evening, I write my pages and I have my own mantras there. Then I recite mantras to Shiva, sit alone in meditation, and then fall asleep. And I also say 3 things I'm grateful for. When I lie down, I say my gratitudes before going to sleep. That's it. And here, of course, it's very important to let your body fall asleep at night, not in the early morning. That's also an important part. That's it. Yulia, how do you remove a fear block in the body? How do you feel it, Anya? What is a fear block? How does fear, a block in the body, feel? Usually fear lives in the mind, not in the body. We might think it's in the body, but in reality, this fear just lives in a troubled psyche. The body feels, it senses things. For example, right now I feel that my dog is a bit heavy, so let me switch her to the other arm. You see what I mean, right? A fear block is purely psychological. And why is doing abs in the evening a ritual? That's just how it is for us. That's just how it's always been for me, actually. In the morning, I just do a plank. And in the evening, I always did abs before going to bed. I've been doing this for a long time. I kind of set this up for myself, you know. And when Makar came, we started doing it together. We do abs before bed because in the morning, we wake up at different times. In the morning, I have a bunch of other rituals and so on. It's like a thickening or something. Where is the thickening? Love it. Put your hand on it, not on the thickening. Say, we're not afraid of anything. We're safe. We're safe. Dear ones, we are in total safety. There is no danger at all. There is no danger because death does not exist. Yulia, young people have a lot of tattoos these days. What is this about? Well, guess what? About mothers who are not very good, about damaged relationships with mothers. I want to change my body. I don't accept my body. I want to change it. That's all. Solar plexus. There's a real thickening here. Or it just feels like it's physically there, or just a pain, like a thickening. Look, Anyut, it seems to me that you have become a victim again. You feel like you want to get sick? For what? No, nothing hurts anymore. Kashpirovsky. Anya, you are a cool person and your body is great. Get out of the victim role. Why do you need this whole show? I love this parable. I often tell it about the dog that lies on a nail and whines. The point is, people paid attention to her, but the hole in the dog's belly remained. Get out of this, get out, get out. All ailments can be cured in a second because everything is in the mind. Stop making things up. You know my mom, she's 73 years old, not just a person, but a genius. I absolutely adore her, of course. That's where I get my dramatic side from. Whenever something needs to be done, that's it, she gets sick. But as soon as there's nothing to do, she immediately gets better. Sometimes I just look at it and think how funny it is. I'm just like her. I eat like there's no tomorrow. Well, you even talk about it. Look, maybe you're just eating up some of your grandma's stuff. Body for Summer. Join the course, there's a lot about this there. We actually uncover ancestral karmic layers in constellations. Sign up for Body for Summer. You even say it yourself, the answer is right there in your own sentence. Exactly, 100%. Somewhere in your family system there are people who died of hunger. And maybe you even reincarnated as that grandmother. Some great-grandmother died of starvation. So now you eat, you gorge yourself for her, for 5 people. Yulia, about retinal dystrophy and retinal detachment. What is it related to? There can be very different stories in the family system. Most likely it was the Holocaust, where eyes were gouged out. In the parental system, maybe the mother didn't want to see something. In your system, I think you saw something between your mother and father, or there was some kind of violence in front of your eyes in your early childhood, something deep. Well, that's how it is. Get your body ready for summer. Inolchka, yes. Well, I'll be waiting for your feedback. I hope it helps you. People have changed with us. Well, a therapist will guide you to where they themselves have a program. And when it comes to body-related programs, mine are strong. I work a lot with the body. This is probably my main, or at least one of my main deep areas of expertise. Honestly. Well, let's put it this way. I used to bite my nails, had bulimia, acne, and even a prolapsed kidney. In other words, I dealt with a lot of physical issues. I'll go even further. And my gastrointestinal tract issues were really complicated, like seriously complicated. Sometimes I had hemorrhoids, sometimes, damn, I had blood coming out of my anus. I've worked a lot with my body, and in my practice, I've uncovered a huge number of programs that are embedded in the body, within the body. Honestly, I've uncovered a lot, I keep uncovering more, and I keep working on it. I experience a lot through my physical body and get to know these very programs, where they come from, where they originate. Yeah, just recently I was talking about vision in the club. Someone just asked, well, for example, my son Makar has -5 vision. I'm just giving an example. When his father didn't go to the army because they arranged documents saying he had vision problems. And now Makar is basically paying the price for those documents, And now the closer he gets to draft age, the worse his vision gets. And the more the war between Ukraine and Russia goes on, the worse his vision gets. Why? Because he's half Ukrainian, half Russian, you see? And so I'm doing everything I can to somehow stop this from happening to his eyes. But how can you stop it? Sure, we're trying to work everything out, but the situation just keeps getting worse. So he used to have -5, now it's -4. We improved it by 1 diopter, but there are still so many factors that affect the eyes. I'm giving you an example from my own life, and I really work a lot on this, and I talk to Makar about it. But if a child has a program in their psyche, and it's even written down on paper, that to avoid the war, you need to lose your eyesight. Well, but the war doesn't stop, you see? And the age is just right for this. So you diligently work on it, you thoroughly explain it to yourself, you deeply look inside yourself, but you consistently keep moving forward with determination. You get it, right? How do you develop discipline? There's a terrible sabotage going on. Well, first of all, come join our club. We really focus on discipline there, starting with small steps. You don't have to do everything at once. Girls, yesterday I gave a talk in the club about energy funnels, right? I also said start with 3. By the way, tomorrow is the best day to start a new life. It's the new moon. So starting tomorrow, begin spinning those funnels. Take on some kind of ascetic practice. And choose an ascetic practice that's not too serious, not too hard, but make a wish along with it. For example, I don't know, maybe discipline yourself to wake up at 7 every morning. And if you manage to get up at 7 every morning for 40 days, you'll get something. Make a wish for that. Start with small ascetic practices, and gradually you'll build up, and then you'll get used to it. Polyps are former lovers. Especially if it's on the cervix, Dasha, it definitely means you can't forget your exes. Their members are stuck inside you. Let's get rid of the exes, remove them. Gallbladder issues are aggression towards those same men who behaved badly. Gallbladder issues are unprocessed aggression. Those exes did all sorts of nasty things, and now they're coming out as polyps. Just love your exes, put your hand on your belly, and love your belly. You have to understand, all our grievances against our exes show up as polyps in us. Those exes, those bastards, are doing just fine. Is that clear? My girls have sent you the club link, so come join my club. I regularly go live in the club. We chat there. I hope today's webinar was useful for you, my dears. Very much so. It went by in such a harmonious state. I hope I passed on to you this energy of love, the energy of love for all living things. When you live in this energy, the self-destruction program goes away. So what now? Oncology, endometrium. Oncology, endometrium. I don't know what that is, but if it's oncology, it's the self-destruction program. Listen to the broadcast again. Today's broadcast ended up being about the self-destruction program. Listen to the broadcast again. Allergies are abuse. Allergies happen when there's a psychopath abuser nearby. A psychopath abuser is the kind of person who says, I love you so much. Why are you breathing so loudly? And why are you smacking your lips? You're so beautiful. But those gray hairs of yours, of course, are crap. You know, that kind of psychopath abuser. And then we start getting pimples. It's some psychopath abuser sitting with you. You feel uncomfortable, but you stay silent. And you even feel ashamed about it. And you start scolding yourself for not dyeing your hair on time. The whole self-destruction program kicks in. Pimples, goodbye. But it's better to just tell the psychopath abuser, go to hell, darling. That's it. Varicose veins, unborn children in the system. A very fulfilling webinar. Thank you for the space. It's valuable. I love you all very much and bring love into the world. My dear ones, start with yourselves and carry this forward. Because if everyone starts to love themselves, the world will become much healthier and we will start living much more. I really love you all very much. I send you my love and I hope that today we have moved into a healthier body. Well, I'm waiting for you everywhere. Waiting, waiting, waiting everywhere. Yulia, 3 years with you every day. Thank you. Thank you too. Thank you for giving me the chance to surrender, my dear ones. Thank you. That's all. Hugs.